If you value mental strength and practical stoicism, subscribe to Control and Courage now and share this video with someone who needs calmer reactions today. One idea, one exercise, every video. Let's begin. Anger is fast. It doesn't wait for your permission. A message pops up, a colleague interrupts you again, someone cuts you off in traffic, and your body moves before your mind arrives. Heat in the face, tightness in the jaw, words forming that you'll have to sweep up later. Most people think anger is something that happens to them. Stoics learned that anger is something that happens in them, and that makes all the difference. Because if it happens in you, you can work with it, you can interrupt it, you can switch it. Not by suppressing it, not by pretending you're fine, but by using a very short set of actions that move you from fire to focus in about a minute. That's what we'll do together here. A 60-second Stoic anger switch you can use at work, at home, in traffic, and, most importantly, in your own head. Let's start with something honest. Anger is not evil. It's information. Marcus Aurelius didn't deny his emotions, he examined them, like a doctor examines a patient. What is this thing? What is it made of? What does it want me to do? Most of the damage from anger doesn't come from the feeling itself. It comes from the first unexamined action we take while the feeling is in charge. The email we send, the door we slam, the sentence we can't unsay. So the goal of this practice is not to become a stone. The goal is to delay the first bad move and replace it with the first good one. If you can do that, even once, you'll experience something new. You'll feel anger without being owned by it. Here is the core idea. Anger rides on a biological wave that rises and falls quickly. If you do nothing but stop fueling it, most surges dissolve in seconds. But the mind loves to add kindling, rumination, blame, interpretation. He disrespected me. She always does this. They think I'm an idiot. Stoicism gives you a way to interrupt the fueling and replace it with judgment, perspective, and choice. The 60-second switch is simple. Breathe, name, split, choose. 4 moves, 1 minute. Let me walk you through each, then we'll practice the full sequence. First, breathe. Not any old breath, a specific fast-acting pattern. 1 sharp inhale through the nose, a second quick sip of air on top, and a long, slow exhale through the mouth. It's called the physiological sigh. 2 inhales, 1 extended exhale. Do it twice. You'll feel your chest soften, your shoulders drop, the heat move down a notch. This is not spirituality, it is mechanics. You are signaling to your nervous system that immediate danger is passing. The Stoics didn't have our vocabulary, but they practiced the same principle. Regain the body and the mind follows. When you are angry, your breath is short and high. When you change the breath, you change the state. Step 1 takes 15 to 20 seconds and buys you the single most precious resource in anger, space. Second, name. Epictetus told students that what disturbs us is not events but the opinions we attach to them. The moment you put words to a feeling, you move it from raw sensation to object of thought. Quietly say to yourself, anger is here, or I feel a surge of anger. Not I am angry, which fuses identity and emotion, but anger is here, which creates distance. This small language shift gives you a handle. If anger is here, it can also go. If it is here, it is not you. This takes 5 seconds, maybe 10. Don't overthink it. Just call the thing by its name. Third, split. This is the Stoic signature move, the dichotomy of control. Ask, what of this is up to me? What is not? You can't control the colleague's tone, the client's delay, the traffic, the algorithm, the weather, the past. You do control the words you choose, the tone you adopt, the time you take, the boundaries you set, and the standard you hold yourself to. In anger, the mind tries to control everything. The split cuts that impulse in half. What is mine? What is not mine? Bring your attention back to the small circle of influence that is truly yours. 30 seconds is enough to do this. If you need help, use a prompt. Control, not control. Words, tone, timing, mine. Their reaction, their opinion, the outcome, not mine. You will feel the load lighten as soon as the split is made. It's like putting down a bag you didn't realize you were carrying. Fourth, choose. Anger loves speed. Stoicism loves standards. Decide on a first good move that fits your standard, not your surge. You'll keep a small set of pre-decided options ready. For work, it might be, I'll draft a reply but schedule it for tomorrow morning. For home, I'll take a walk around the block and talk in 10 minutes. For meetings, I'll ask one clarifying question before I respond. For yourself, I'll write 3 lines in my notes about what I'm believing right now. Choose one. Execute it. The switch is complete when your first action is aligned with your standard rather than your anger. This last move takes 10 seconds to choose and as long as it takes to carry out. But by then, the wave has already broken. Let's put it together in time. You feel the spark. 2 physiological sighs, 20 seconds. Quiet label. Anger is here, 5 seconds. Split. Mine, not mine, 30 seconds. Choose. First good move, 5 seconds to commit. That's your minute. It's simple on purpose because anger is not a good time for complexity. You don't need a 5-step breathing app or a 10-minute meditation. You need a habit you can deploy standing in a doorway, sitting in a meeting, holding a phone. 4 moves, 1 minute, every time. If this is useful so far, subscribe to Control and Courage and share this video with someone who tends to react too fast. A partner, a colleague, maybe the version of you from last year. Your share might prevent their next regret. Now let's make this real with a few scenes. At work, you receive a message in a group thread. This is not what we agreed, written by someone who should have known better. You feel the heat. You start typing. Before a single word leaves your fingers, call the switch. 2 sighs, shoulders down. Anger is here. Split. Mine, not mine. Mine, the request I make, the tone I use, whether I choose a good time to talk. Not mine, their tone, their assumption, the audience's reaction. Choose. First good move. You might write, happy to clarify. Let's take this thread to a short call so we don't talk past each other. You move the conversation to a venue where tone is harder to misread and escalation is less likely. Or you draft your ideal response and delay send. The urge to fix it now is rarely about resolution, it's about making the feeling stop. Let the feeling pass, protect the relationship and your reputation. At home, the classic pattern. You're tired. Someone leaves dishes in the sink after you did a full clean. The mind writes a story at lightning speed. They don't respect me. Heat, tightness, volume rising. Switch. 2 sighs. Anger is here. Split. Mine, not mine. Mine, the request I make, the tone I use, whether I choose a good time to talk. Not mine, their immediate reaction, whether they apologize, whether they do the dishes right now. Choose. I'm feeling frustrated seeing the dishes after I cleaned. Can we agree a quick reset after dinner? You've moved from accusation to ask. You've kept dignity. You've created the possibility of a good outcome rather than guaranteeing a bad one. On the road, someone pulls into your lane without indicating. The impulse is to teach them a lesson. But anger plus a vehicle is a weapon, and weapons make small mistakes lethal. Switch. 2 sighs with eyes open. Quiet label. Split. Mine, following distance, speed, attention. Not mine, their skill, their stress, their day. Choose. Drop back and give space. You didn't win the moment, but you won your life expectancy. Stoicism is not about victory in petty contests, it's about refusing to compete in them. What about anger that isn't sudden, but slow, resentment that simmers over days? The same switch, deployed daily. Breathe, name, split, choose, and add a 5th move used by Marcus himself. Perspective expansion. Ask, how will this matter in a week, in a year, on my deathbed? Anger shrinks your world to the size of a single slight. Perspective restores scale. The thing bothering you is usually a small stone in a very large field of what matters. The moment you feel the field again, the stone looks small enough to step around. You might be wondering, if I don't express my anger, am I repressing it? No. Suppression is pretending it isn't there. Stoicism is looking straight at it, calling it by name, and choosing your action deliberately.
The goal is not to push anger down, it is to bring the mind up.
There are times when firm boundaries are required, when you have to say no, or this stops now, or here is the consequence. The switch helps you deliver that boundary cleanly, without poison. You can be clear without being cruel. In fact, clarity lands better when it is not drenched in heat. Let's talk briefly about where anger comes from, because understanding origin gives you more leverage. Often, anger is armor for a more vulnerable feeling: fear, shame, disappointment. If a client delays feedback, you might feel fear about the project and express it as irritation at the person. If a partner forgets something important, you might feel hurt and express it as criticism. When you run the switch, you create enough space to see the layer beneath. If you can name that layer, your action improves further. "I'm worried about our deadline. Can we confirm the plan?" is far more effective than "you're holding us up." The first builds, the second burns. There are also patterns of thought that feed anger automatically: mind reading, fortune-telling, absolute language. "He meant to embarrass me. This will ruin everything. She always does this." Stoic practice invites you to test these judgments instead of swallowing them whole. Ask, "What else could this mean?" Or, "What evidence do I have?" Or, "Is always true or just today?" Doubt is medicine for certainty, and anger loves certainty. The moment you introduce possibility, the temperature drops. Some people will hear all of this and say, "But anger gives me energy, it makes me perform." Perhaps for a moment. Anger is a rocket booster. It gets you off the line fast, but it's hard to steer, and it burns out quickly. Stoicism prefers sustainable power, standards, habits, identity. When you switch from anger to action, you keep the energy, focus, alertness, but you remove the stupidity that often accompanies it. This is why elite performers build routines to lower arousal before they act. Deep breath, clear label, small pause, chosen move. It's not softness, it's precision. There's a question I like to keep on a card in my wallet. What would my best self do next? Not what would a saint do, not what would a robot do, just the version of me I respect: patient, clear, honest, firm. In anger, this question re-anchors you to identity. Stoic practice is, at its core, identity training. Every time you choose a better action, you vote for the person you're becoming. The choice might be small: a breath, a word, a pause. But identities are built of small votes, not grand speeches. Let's run a micro drill together so the switch becomes muscle memory. Picture a recent situation where anger took the wheel. See it clearly: the person, the setting, the words. Feel the first heat in your body. Now, 2 sighs: in, out, right now. Notice what changes. Quietly say, "Anger is here." Make the split: mine, not mine. Point at one thing that is yours, your next sentence. Choose the first good move: a question, a pause, "Let me get back to you," or "I'll consider that and reply by noon." Imagine saying it. See the scene move forward from there. That is the drill. Rehearse it in calm so it appears in heat. What about the anger you feel at yourself? The missed deadline, the broken promise, the habit you said you'd change but didn't. Self-directed anger can be even more destructive because you can't outrun yourself. The switch still applies. Breathe. Label: shame is here, or frustration is here. Split: what is mine? Owning the mistake is mine. Punishing myself for a week is not helpful and not mine. Choose one corrective action, one lesson captured, one boundary set. You are not letting yourself off, you are letting yourself forward. Marcus didn't write, "I must be perfect." He wrote, "When you lose direction, return to yourself and resume the journey." Some practical refinements. Build a small anger kit you can use anywhere. In your notes app or on a card, write the 4 words: breathe, name, split. Add 3 pre-decided first moves that suit your life. For example, delay send to morning. Ask a question first.
Step away for 2 minutes. Keep the card where you'll see it: desk, wallet, phone case. The goal is not to invent a response when you're hot, it's to recall one when you're hot. Pre-decision beats improvisation under pressure. There will be times when anger is tied to injustice, where a calm, measured response feels like complicity.
Stoicism is not complicity, it is clarity. The switch helps you act effectively rather than theatrically. You still draw the boundary. You still report the behavior. You still escalate when necessary. You simply do it with a cool head and clean hands, which increases your chance of a constructive result and reduces collateral damage. I want to give you 3 sentences that can save you hours of fallout. The first, I'm going to take a moment and get back to you. This protects you from saying the thing you'll later rewrite in your head 10 times. The second, help me understand what you need. Questions dissolve assumptions and slow the tempo. The third, let's focus on what's within our control. Bring the split into the room. You don't need philosophy quotes for every situation. You need simple lines that keep you within your standard. If you're still with me, do 2 things to help this stick. First, subscribe to Control and Courage because the next video builds on this with specific scripts for tense emails, meetings, and conversations. Second, share this with someone you'd like to have calmer conversations with. You can't change people by force, but you can invite them into better habits. Now let's address the aftermath of anger. Sometimes you will fail. You'll send the message, raise the voice, slam the cupboard. Stoicism isn't perfectionism, it's recovery. When you fall, you repair quickly and learn publicly. Apologize for impact, not intent. I spoke harshly earlier. That's not the standard I hold. Here's how I'm handling it. Then capture the lesson. What was the trigger? What story did you tell yourself? What switch move did you skip? What will you do next time? Turn the stakes into training data. This transforms shame into information. Anger often pairs with contempt, the belief that you are above the other person. Contempt is corrosive. It destroys relationships from the inside. Marcus cured contempt with kinship. The wrongdoer is my kin, not by blood, but by mind. When you see the other as a fellow struggler with their own burdens and blind spots, your options expand. You can be firm and human. You can disagree without demeaning. Anger wants to reduce a person to their worst moment. Stoicism insists on seeing the whole person, including the parts you do not see. For those who like numbers, here's a compact timing guide you can memorize. 20 seconds breath, 10 seconds label, 20 seconds split, 10 seconds choose. 20-10-20-10. If you are in a setting where even a minute is too long, compress it. 1 sigh, 1 label, 1 word in your head, control, and 1 pre-decided move like ask or delay. The miniature version can fit between heartbeats. Will this make you calm forever? No, you are not a statue. You are a person. But if you cut the peak of 10 storms this month, you've spared yourself and others a lot of unnecessary suffering. You will notice a new kind of pride, not the pride of being right, but the pride of being in charge of yourself. That is the pride the Stoics cultivated, not the pride of praise, but the pride of principle. Before we close, a brief guided run so you feel the switch in your body. Think of someone whose behavior reliably annoys you. See their face, hear their voice, feel the familiar spark. Now, inhale, inhale, long exhale. Again, quietly. Anger is here. Split. Mine, how I speak. Not mine, their mood. Choose. I'll ask a clarifying question. Hear yourself say, what would you like the outcome to be? Notice how the shape of the moment changes. You have just moved the scene onto a different track. Do this enough times and people will begin to call you calm. You weren't born that way, you trained it. We'll end as we began, with a choice. The next time anger visits, and it will, you can hand it the keys or you can offer it a seat. Breathe. Name. Split. Choose. 4 moves in a minute. Build this into your mornings, your inbox, your kitchen, your commute.
The world doesn't need fewer feelings. It needs more people who can feel without breaking things. If this helped, subscribe to Control and Courage.